The courtroom was filled with hushed murmurs, the atmosphere tense yet orderly. Lawyers shuffled papers at their desks, the faint scratching of pens and the occasional clearing of throats filling the otherwise silent room. Judge Caldwell, a figure of stoic authority, presided over the trial with a commanding presence. It was just another routine day in court, or so everyone thought. Suddenly, the double doors at the back of the courtroom burst open with a deafening slam. All eyes turned as a teenage girl, her face pale and streaked with tears, stumbled into the room. Her voice broke the stillness like thunder. "Stop! Please stop!" she screamed, her hands trembling as she clutched a worn envelope close to her chest. The judge's gavel froze mid-air, his eyes narrowing as he surveyed the girl. "Who are you, and why are you disrupting this court?" His voice boomed, laced with a mixture of authority and curiosity. The girl staggered forward, her legs barely supporting her as she approached the front of the courtroom. "I have something you need to see," she gasped, holding up the envelope. Her voice was trembling, but the urgency in her tone was undeniable. "What could possibly be so important that you interrupt this trial?" the prosecutor asked, his voice dripping with skepticism. The girl turned toward the judge, tears streaming down her face. "It's the truth. It's everything you've been looking for." Pause for dramatic effect. Imagine being in her place. What would you do if you held the key to justice in your hands? Before we uncover the shocking truth hidden inside that envelope, take a moment to like this video, share your thoughts in the comments below, and subscribe to our channel. Stories like these remind us of the courage it takes to stand up for what's right. Let's dive into this gripping tale and find out how one girl's bravery changed everything. The courtroom was a grand, imposing space designed to exude authority and order. High wooden benches lined the room, their polished surfaces reflecting the glow of the overhead chandeliers. The judge's bench, elevated at the far end, commanded respect, flanked by the flags of justice and law. Rows of wooden pews filled with spectators and family members created a tense, anticipatory atmosphere. The faint scent of wood polish mingled with the sterile air, giving the room an aura of solemnity. At the center of the unfolding drama was Judge William Caldwell, a seasoned figure in his late 50s. His silver hair and sharp, piercing eyes conveyed a mix of wisdom and no-nonsense authority. Known for his fairness and commitment to the truth, Caldwell had a reputation for navigating even the most complicated cases with precision. Behind his calm exterior, however, lay a personal vendetta for justice. His younger sister had been a victim of a failed judicial system years ago, and since then, he had sworn to ensure no stone was left unturned in his courtroom. Sitting at the defense table was Daniel Harper, a middle-aged man accused of a heinous crime. His disheveled appearance and weary eyes suggested a man either on the brink of despair or a master manipulator awaiting his chance to turn the tables. Daniel's defense attorney, a sharp-witted woman named Lila Monroe, was fiercely determined to prove her client's innocence, though even she harbored doubts about the strength of their case. On the opposing side, the prosecution was led by Thomas Grayson, a confident and ambitious attorney in his early 40s. Known for his unrelenting pursuit of convictions, Grayson's motivation wasn't just about justice, it was personal. This case had the potential to make or break his career, and he wasn't about to let anything jeopardize his record. Among the spectators sat Anna Wells, a 16-year-old girl with piercing blue eyes and an aura of urgency that went unnoticed until the moment she burst into the room. Anna's backstory was as complex as the trial itself. Raised by her single mother, she had always been a quiet, observant child, her life irrevocably changed by a family tragedy. Anna's world collided with the trial when she discovered an envelope containing evidence that could alter the course of the case. Her older brother, a witness in the trial, had confided in her about a critical piece of information before his mysterious disappearance. When she realized no one else would act on it, Anna knew she had no choice but to take matters into her own hands. The stakes couldn't have been higher. For Anna, this was her chance to honor her brother's memory and bring the truth to light. For Judge Caldwell, it was a test of his commitment to justice, pushing the boundaries of his patience and moral code. For Daniel Harper, it was a matter of life or death. And for Thomas Grayson, the trial's outcome could define his career. As Anna burst into the courtroom, clutching the envelope that could change everything, the once orderly proceedings unraveled into chaos, setting the stage for a dramatic confrontation that would challenge everyone's perceptions of truth, justice, and courage. The courtroom fell into stunned silence as Anna's voice echoed off the walls. Every eye was on her as she stood trembling, clutching the envelope tightly against her chest. Judge Caldwell rose slightly from his chair, his stern expression softening ever so slightly at the sight of the distressed teenager. "Approach the bench," he commanded, his voice firm but not unkind. Anna hesitated, glancing nervously at the defense table where Daniel Harper sat, his hollow eyes locked on her. She took a deep breath and stepped forward, the envelope crinkling in her grip. "What's in the envelope?" the judge asked, his piercing gaze trying to decipher her intentions. "It's proof," Anna stammered, her voice cracking. "Proof that he didn't do it." She gestured toward Daniel Harper, who sat motionless, his attorney leaning in to whisper frantically. The prosecutor, Thomas Grayson, stood abruptly. "Your Honor, this is highly irregular. This individual is not a witness and has no standing in this case. We have procedures for evidence submission." "This is my courtroom, Mr. Grayson," Caldwell interrupted, his tone sharp. "Let the girl speak." Anna's hands shook as she placed the envelope on the bench. "It's a letter," she explained, tears streaming down her face. "From my brother. He knew something about this case, and it's why he disappeared." A murmur spread through the spectators, growing louder with each passing second. Judge Caldwell banged his gavel. "Order in the court." As the judge opened the envelope and began reading the letter, the tension in the room became palpable. His brows furrowed, his eyes scanning the page. The words written there seemed to drain the color from his face. He set the letter down carefully and leaned forward. "This letter contains statements that suggest not only new evidence, but also significant misconduct," he announced. "We need to recess immediately for further examination." The courtroom erupted into chaos. Grayson was visibly furious, pacing at the prosecution table, while Lila Monroe, the defense attorney, clutched her pen tightly, her sharp eyes darting between Anna and the judge. But the chaos wasn't confined to the courtroom. Outside, as Anna sat on a bench, waiting for the recess to end, she received a text from an unknown number. "You shouldn't have done that." Her heart raced as she looked around, feeling the weight of unseen eyes. Back in the courtroom, the stakes escalated. Judge Caldwell called the attorneys into his chambers, where he revealed the contents of the letter, an account from Anna's brother that implicated another individual in the crime and hinted at a deeper conspiracy involving key witnesses. The implications were staggering, putting not only the trial, but the integrity of the justice system in question. Meanwhile, Anna's mother arrived at the courthouse, distraught and angry that her daughter had taken such a risk. "You should have told me," she said, clutching Anna's face. "These people, if they're who I think they are, they're dangerous." "I couldn't wait, Mom," Anna replied, her voice firm despite her fear. "If I didn't say something, an innocent man would go to prison." As the recess ended, the courtroom reconvened, but the atmosphere had shifted. The judge addressed the court. "Based on the information presented, this trial cannot proceed as planned. I am issuing subpoenas for additional witnesses and reopening the investigation." The tension was unbearable. Grayson argued vehemently, accusing the defense of orchestrating a last-minute stunt. Lila Monroe, in contrast, quietly began connecting the dots in the new evidence, her confidence growing. Anna sat quietly in the back, watching the chaos unfold. She had done what she set out to do, but she knew this was far from over. The stakes were higher now, and with the mysterious text haunting her, she realized that the truth she had uncovered might come at a cost far greater than she had anticipated. As the court adjourned for the day, Anna's determination solidified. She wasn't just fighting for justice anymore. She was fighting to protect herself and the memory of her brother. Little did she know, the true danger was about to reveal itself. The courtroom was eerily silent as the trial resumed. All eyes were on Judge Caldwell as he held the letter Anna had delivered.
The tension was thick, with every breath in the room feeling heavy and deliberate. The defense attorney, Lila Monroe, stood ready, her sharp gaze darting between the judge and the prosecution. On the other side, Thomas Grayson's confidence had turned to unease, his clenched jaw betraying his frustration. Judge Caldwell cleared his throat and addressed the court. After careful review, this letter contains testimony that directly contradicts key evidence presented by the prosecution. Furthermore, it implicates an alternate suspect. Gasps rippled through the room. Grayson shot to his feet. "Your Honor, this letter is unverified and speculative at best. The testimony of an absent witness cannot derail a case built on solid evidence." Before the judge could respond, the courtroom doors swung open again. 2 officers entered, escorting a man in handcuffs, a man who looked nothing like the defendant, Daniel Harper. Whispers spread like wildfire as the man was led to the witness stand. "This is Stephen Carter," Judge Caldwell announced. "He has been brought in for questioning based on the letter submitted to this court. His involvement in this case will now be addressed." Anna's breath caught in her throat. This was the man her brother had warned her about, the man she believed was the real perpetrator. Carter's eyes scanned the room, settling on Anna for a brief moment. A smirk tugged at his lips, sending a chill down her spine. As Carter took the stand, the courtroom erupted into a dramatic exchange. Grayson attempted to discredit the letter, questioning its authenticity and relevance. However, Lila Monroe was prepared. She stood and revealed a critical piece of evidence uncovered during the recess, a fingerprint from the crime scene that matched Stephen Carter's records. Carter's smirk faltered as the evidence was presented. "This is a setup," he shouted, his voice rising. "I've got nothing to do with this." But Anna couldn't stay silent any longer. She stood from her seat, her voice trembling but strong. "You hurt my brother because he knew the truth. He tried to stop you, and you made him disappear." The courtroom erupted in chaos as Carter lunged forward, restrained immediately by the officers at his side. His outburst only served to solidify the growing belief that he was, in fact, guilty. Judge Caldwell slammed his gavel, demanding order. In the midst of the commotion, a final twist emerged. Anna's brother, presumed missing, was alive and waiting to testify. The judge had received word from authorities that he had been found hiding in a safe house after narrowly escaping Carter's threats. The revelation sent shockwaves through the courtroom. As the courtroom doors opened again, Anna's brother stepped inside, his face pale but resolute. He looked at Anna with tears in his eyes, and then turned to the judge. "I'm here to tell the truth," he said firmly. The room fell silent as he recounted everything: Carter's involvement, the threats, and the cover-up that nearly sent an innocent man to prison. His testimony was the final nail in the coffin for Carter, whose demeanor shifted from defiance to despair. Judge Caldwell addressed the court with a steady voice. "This trial has revealed a grave miscarriage of justice. Based on the evidence and testimony presented, I am dismissing the charges against Daniel Harper and ordering a full investigation into the actions of Stephen Carter and his associates." The courtroom erupted in a mix of applause and stunned silence. Anna collapsed into her mother's arms, tears streaming down her face. She had done it. Against all odds, she had brought the truth to light and honored her brother's bravery. As Carter was escorted out in handcuffs, he glared at Anna one last time. But Anna met his gaze with unwavering strength, knowing she had faced her greatest fear and won. The trial was over, but the impact of that day would ripple through their lives forever. As the courtroom slowly emptied, the tension that had gripped the room began to dissipate. Anna sat quietly in one of the benches, her hands trembling slightly as the adrenaline faded. Her brother, now free from the shadows of fear, sat beside her, squeezing her hand. It was the first time in months that she felt the weight of uncertainty begin to lift. Judge Caldwell remained at the bench, taking a moment to reflect on the case. He looked toward Anna and her brother, his stern demeanor softening. "You showed great courage today," he said. "Both of you. The truth might never have come to light without your actions." Anna nodded, her eyes welling up. "I just wanted justice," she whispered. Daniel Harper, the man who had been wrongfully accused, stood nearby with his attorney, Lila Monroe. He approached Anna and her brother, his voice filled with gratitude. "I don't know how to thank you," he said, his voice cracking. "You saved my life." Anna's mother, who had been watching anxiously from the gallery, rushed forward to embrace her children. Tears of relief streamed down her face as she whispered, "You're both so brave. I'm so proud of you." Outside the courthouse, the media frenzy had already begun. Reporters crowded around, eager to capture the story of the teen girl who had stopped a trial to expose the truth. Cameras flashed, and microphones were thrust toward Anna and her brother, but Judge Caldwell intervened, ordering security to escort them to safety. "They've been through enough for one day," he told the press firmly. In the days that followed, the impact of the trial's dramatic turn reverberated throughout the community. Stephen Carter's arrest led to the unearthing of a larger web of corruption and criminal activity. Investigations revealed how he had manipulated evidence and silenced witnesses to avoid suspicion, exposing systemic flaws in the justice system. Thomas Grayson, the prosecutor, faced public scrutiny for his failure to investigate thoroughly, tarnishing his once stellar reputation. Meanwhile, Lila Monroe's defense strategy earned her widespread acclaim, marking her as one of the most promising legal minds in the city. For Judge Caldwell, the case was a reminder of the fragility of justice and the importance of vigilance in the courtroom. He resolved to ensure that every case he presided over would be treated with the utmost care and scrutiny, vowing never to let a similar oversight happen again. For Anna and her brother, life slowly began to return to normal, though the experience had left an indelible mark on them. They attended counseling to process the trauma of the events, but their bond grew stronger than ever. Anna's bravery became a source of inspiration for others, with many calling her a local hero. As Anna walked through the quiet streets of her neighborhood one evening, her brother by her side, she finally allowed herself to breathe deeply. The stars above sparkled brightly, a reminder of the light that had emerged from the darkness they had endured. "This isn't the end," her brother said, his voice filled with newfound strength. "But at least now we know we can face whatever comes next." Anna smiled, the corners of her lips trembling slightly. "Together," she said, her voice steady, "we can face anything." The courthouse, once a place of fear and uncertainty for Anna, now stood as a symbol of justice, a reminder that even the smallest voices could make the loudest difference. And as the city moved forward, the story of the teen girl who ran into the courtroom screaming would remain etched in the hearts of all who heard it. In the weeks following the dramatic courtroom events, life began to take on a new rhythm for Anna, her brother, and their family. The revelations from the trial had sent shockwaves through the community, but the aftermath brought a sense of closure and hope for a better future. Anna's brother, now free from the shadows of fear and silence, testified further against Stephen Carter, solidifying the case against him. The additional evidence uncovered during the investigation exposed Carter's network of criminal activity, leading to multiple arrests and a significant overhaul of the local justice system. The case became a rallying cry for reforms, emphasizing the need for better safeguards against corruption and miscarriages of justice. Anna, once a quiet and reserved teenager, became a symbol of courage and resilience. Her story was featured in local and national media, sparking discussions about the power of speaking up and standing for what is right. Schools invited her to share her experience, inspiring students to trust their instincts and believe in their ability to make a difference. Judge Caldwell reflected deeply on the events, acknowledging the fragility of the system he had dedicated his life to. He began advocating for changes within the judiciary, ensuring better oversight and transparency in trials. His reputation, already respected, grew further as he became a voice for accountability and fairness in the legal process. For Anna's family, the trial marked a turning point. The loss of her brother's safety and the fear they had endured became a source of strength and unity. They decided to move to a quieter town, seeking a fresh start. But Anna's bond with her community remained unbroken. She stayed connected with those who had supported her, knowing she could always count on them. Anna herself was changed forever. She understood now that bravery wasn't the absence of fear. It was the decision to act despite it. Her experience became a cornerstone of her identity, shaping her dreams of becoming a lawyer to fight for justice and protect others like her brother. As Anna packed her belongings for the move, she found the envelope that had changed everything. She held it in her hands, its edges worn and creased, and smiled faintly. It was a reminder of her journey, a testament to her courage and the belief that one voice, no matter how small, could create ripples of change. The courthouse where the events unfolded stood quietly under the morning sun, a place that had witnessed chaos and resolution. For those who had been part of that pivotal day, it was now a symbol of hope, justice, and the power of truth. And while Anna's chapter in the city had closed, her story continued to inspire others, proving that even in the darkest moments, a single act of courage could illuminate the path toward justice. The girl who had once been afraid to speak had found her voice, and she was determined never to let it go silent again. If this powerful story of courage and justice moved you, don't forget to like this video and share it with someone who needs a reminder of the strength in standing up for what's right. What would you have done in Anna's place? Have you ever witnessed or experienced a moment where speaking out made all the difference? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your perspective. And if you're inspired by stories of bravery and resilience, subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss another gripping tale. Together, let's celebrate the power of truth and the impact of a single voice.